In 1997, two parents abandoned their baby in a hospital. The nurse on shift immediately spotted the shocking reason for their heartless gesture. But being unwilling to let the baby face a challenging future alone, she did something even more shocking. The year was 1997, and the night was one that Nurse Mary Jenkins would never forget. The doctors and nurses at the hospital were running up and down, attending to patients. As for the neonatal intensive care unit, it was quiet except for the faint hum of machinery. Mary walked into the unit with an infant baby, ready to put him into the incubator, when she noticed a second child tucked into another incubator. As the nurse in charge of the neonatal care unit, she was sure that there was no infant supposed to be in there that night. All babies were either with their parents or discharged that day. She placed the baby she had in her arms in the incubator and went over to check on the other one. Baby Andy. The incubator was labeled. The child was asleep. His face was lined with folds of loose skin, as though life had gifted him its burdens too soon. She immediately remembered him. He had been born to a young couple. She remembered how other nurses had been shocked with his structures. The doctor had diagnosed him with a rare illness called cutis laxa, a connective tissue disorder that causes the skin to become inelastic and hang loosely in folds, a condition they hadn't diagnosed a baby in years. As she looked at the little boy, she felt that something was not right. She walked out of the room and went over to check her books to see if she was mistaken. True to what she had expected, she was right. The only baby that was supposed to be at the neonatal intensive care unit was the one she had recently brought up. She was curious to know why the baby was still in the incubator when he was ready to leave the hospital with his parents. After going rounds confirming with the nurses about the baby, the reason became painfully clear. The baby had been abandoned. There was no sign of his parents anywhere in the hospital, and according to the records, it seemed that they had been discharged earlier that day. Mary didn't know what to do at first. Curious and concerned, she took the address of the couple and promised herself to follow up on it the following morning. With over a decade of experience, nothing could have prepared her for what she was about to experience. The next morning, Mary followed up with the doctor on duty about the couple. What was supposed to be an easy task became one full of mystery. The parents of baby Andy were nowhere to be found. They found the address they had shared with the hospital, but they were not there. Even the phone number didn't go through. She didn't know what else to do, so she informed a social worker to take on the case. As Mary held baby Andy in her arms that evening, her heart ached. "Why would they leave you here? You're so tiny and fragile," she whispered to the baby. As if he had heard her, he cooed softly. Her heart broke for him. She knew his fate. He would be handed over to the system and they would find him a foster home, where he would be relentlessly bullied for his appearance. As she looked at him, the harsh life he would have flashed through her eyes. She knew the reason why he was abandoned, and she was not going to let him face the same abandonment over and over again throughout his life. Suddenly, Mary felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility and compassion. Life had already been harsh to him by giving him that disease, and now, with no family to love him, it was simply too much for her to bear. The little boy needed more than just medical care. He needed love and a family. Without hesitation, she did the unthinkable. She decided to adopt him, vowing to provide the care and treatment he desperately needed. She had a well-paying job and a house fit enough to raise a child in. She was qualified to start the adoption process. The following morning, Mary looked for the social worker and informed her of the decision she had made. Everyone was shocked by her decision. "Why would you want to adopt a burden like him?" one nurse asked her. "He's not a burden. He's just a baby life hasn't been kind to. I want to provide the best for him," she replied. With the help of the social worker, the adoption process began. It wasn't an easy process, but finally she was called by the social service and informed that she was now able to take baby Andy home as her own. She was overjoyed. She couldn't stop talking about it to her colleagues, and thankfully most of them were supportive. They threw her a post-baby shower to celebrate her new journey with baby Andy and gave her so many gifts to help her out. They were all proud of her. She knew it wasn't going to be easy, but she was determined to do whatever she can to provide the best for baby Andy. Andy's early years were filled with countless doctor visits and treatments, but Mary's dedication never wavered. She loved Andy with all her heart, as if he was her own. She did the best to provide for him, balancing her job at the hospital with caring for him. Moreover, Mary sought out specialists who helped treat Andy's condition, slowly improving his appearance and health. Her home was filled with warmth and love as she watched Andy grow. Though his face bore the signs of his condition, his bright eyes and infectious smile won the hearts of everyone he met. Sometimes Mary would go with him to work, and the nurses would be happy to care for him in shifts, all enchanted by his smile. He excelled in school, always curious and eager to learn, and his resilience was a constant source of inspiration for Mary. But she still felt sad for him. None of the treatments they went for was working for him in the long run. She always felt like a dagger had pierced through her heart whenever she found Andy looking at himself in the mirror. "Mom, do you think I'll ever look normal?" her 6-year-old son once asked her one evening, his small fingers tracing the faint scar on his cheek. Mary knelt down to his level, cupping his face. "Baby, why would you say that?" she asked, her tears almost betraying her. "I want the kids at school to play with me and not run away when they see me," he said sadly. "But they say I'm not normal. Will I ever be?" Mary almost broke out in tears. "You know what? Normal is boring," she said with a playful wink. "If they don't want to play with you, that's okay. You got me and your cousins to play with. And always know that you, my love, are extraordinary." But over the years, Mary kept hoping for a miracle. She knew that all her kind words would never heal the wound her son felt in his heart. Then one day, a breakthrough came for both of them. Mary found a renowned specialist in pediatric dermatology who agreed to take on Andy's case and offered treatments that showed significant promise. With each session, Andy's condition improved, and he began to look more like other children his age. The treatments were expensive, but Mary managed with the help of family and friends. Years passed, and Andy blossomed into a talented young man with a passion for helping others. He became inspired by his own journey and aspired to become a doctor so that he could support children facing similar challenges. Watching him graduate in high school, Mary couldn't have been prouder. She liked seeing her son thrive. As he received his certificate and reward, she knew that her decision to adopt him had been the most rewarding choice of her life. But now that he was supposed to go to college, Mary felt that it was time for Andy to know the truth about his origin. The mystery of his biological parents still lingered in her mind. She had left her a note at the social services in case his parents wanted to locate him, but ever since, she had never heard anything from them. One more time, with the help of the social services, they started the process of locating his parents. She was torn between telling him then or waiting till he found them. The decision was lightened when she received a call from the social services claiming that someone from Andy's family wanted to talk to her. Without hesitating, Mary went to meet her. She wanted to reunite Andy with his family and offer closure, and perhaps a chance at forgiveness and understanding. But as she listened to what the woman, who was supposedly Andy's aunt, said, she felt sorry for the parents. Mary had despised Andy's mother and father for abandoning their child when he needed them the most, but what she learned softened her heart. According to Andy's aunt Abigail, Andy's mom passed away a year after she abandoned him. She couldn't handle the guilt of leaving Andy for the harsh world to take care of him. This led to her breakup with his dad, a long struggle with depression, and later her demise. Mary was overwhelmed with the information. All the while, she had wondered why Andy's mom had never looked for her baby when she wasn't even alive in the first place. "What about the father?" she asked. "He left for another state after his wife's death. He blamed himself for their separation and her death. He was the one who came up with the idea of leaving the baby in the hospital because they couldn't care for him. But I have his number," Abigail explained to Mary. Mary didn't know how to give all that information to Andy. She knew she was supposed to tell him, but the thought of seeing his sad face made her hesitate to share the information. Finally, when she was courageous enough, she sat Andy down and told him everything. She gave him his father's number, hoping for him to call and bridge the gap that had separated them for years. The reunion was filled with mixed emotions. Andy's biological dad, Daniel, was overjoyed to see his son. He had never expected for him to grow into a remarkable young man, but as he looked at him, he was proud. Mostly, he was thankful to Mary. He explained their desperation and the heartbreaking decision he had convinced his wife to make years ago. Andy listened with an open heart, understanding their plight and the love that had driven them to such a difficult choice. "I thought about you every day," Daniel admitted, his voice shaking. "I've never stopped feeling guilty and loving you, even though I didn't know your whereabouts." Andy was overcome with tears, but Mary was with him, holding his hand throughout the talk. "I'm sorry, son. I was a coward and left. I should have believed in myself that I could provide you with the best care," Daniel said. "And thank you, Mary, for your love and devotion. Not many nurses could do what you did. You are amazing," he added. To celebrate their reunion, Mary organized a small gathering at her home. She invited all her friends and family that helped her raise Andy. It was an emotional day, filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt conversations. Andy's biological father once again expressed his immense gratitude to Mary and her family, acknowledging the incredible role Mary had played in his son's life. For Andy, it was a moment of profound realization. He had been blessed with great families and friends who loved him deeply, each in their own way. Surrounded by people who cared for him, He felt a sense of wholeness and belonging that he had never known before. The gap of lost years had been closed. What began as an act of abandonment had come full circle into a story of forgiveness and love. As the evening drew to a close, Andy decided to toast. He raised his glass and the rest followed. "To family," he said, his voice steady and strong. "To the one I was born into, and the one who chose me." Mary clinked her glass against his, tears glistening in her eyes. "To love," she added. She looked at her son's happy face, and she was reminded once again that she had made the right choice when she had decided to adopt him all those years ago. What a beautiful story. What would you have done if you were in Nurse Mary's shoes? Would you have adopted baby Andy or let the social services do their thing? Share your thoughts below, and let's discuss the power of love. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.